Vice President Kamala Harris praised Beyoncé for her new country album, saying that she has reclaimed country music's black roots. I'm sorry, Hootie? No love for Hootie? A doctor from Singapore has gone viral with a video telling people that they can get relief from constipation by sitting on the toilet cross-legged. So that's what they mean when they say crisscross applesauce.
Come on, with a perfect, cute little baby bump. Meanwhile, I look like I'm trying to shoplift the turducken. I'm just regular pregnant. I want to be famous pregnant.
A growing number of high-end luxury apartment buildings around the country are offering new amenities, including IV drips to help recover from hangovers. And if that sounds appealing, learn more at Alcoholics Anonymous. Some of my best work. Arizona Congressman Paul Gosar, seen here watching an interracial couple walk by, has officially been censured after posting a violent anime video that depicted him killing Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. But I don't know, he's a 60-year-old man who makes his own anime. When he heard he was getting punished, he was probably like, is it nipple clamps? I just hope an octopus doesn't do anything to me.
Dog. Who let this dog out of the closet? That's the question posed by director Jane Campion in this hysterical gay western. Benedict Cumberbatch rides high as the titular Dog the Bounty Hunter. That is, until bizarrely stepping through the screen just to make fun of my undies in the voice of my middle school bully. Aside from that, it's the best movie I've ever seen. Colin?
This week, the U.S. experienced the longest partial lunar eclipse in nearly 600 years. Scientists say the eclipse began when Yo Mama got on the trampoline. I also really love that the reason they let Will Smith stay in the audience was that they asked Chris Rock and he said it was okay. So now we just ask the victim right after they get hit in the head? Hey, you cool if the guy who just attacked you hangs around for a while? You don't want to make him mad again. The conservative media organization The Daily Wire said they'll spend $100 million to create children's programming to counter woke media companies. Programs will include Clifford the Big Straight Dog, Encanto, but in English, and One Fish, Two Fish, that's how many fish genders there are.
Disney employees were upset that the company took so long to condemn Florida's proposed Don't Say Gay bill, although at Disney they actually don't say gay, they say Timon and Pumbaa. Serena Williams criticized the New York Times after it mistakenly printed a picture of her sister Venus Williams and labeled it as Serena. Worse, the Times then sent an apology letter to Wendy Williams.
Donald Trump posted an image of Nikki Haley made up to look like Hillary Clinton. And honestly, I couldn't tell if it was bad Photoshop or a good picture of Mark Cuban in a wig.
I thought you did that good. I wouldn't have said that. Pope Francis said this week that sexual pleasure is a gift from God. Unfortunately, it was in response to the question, should the church still have altar boys? Speaking of kids, the WNBA will soon allow teams traveling for away games to fly on private charter planes, which previously only happened after they were released from Russian prison. This might be my favorite show. This is my Miami show. On Wednesday, the reigning Miss Teen USA announced that she was giving up her title. Man, this week keeps getting worse and worse for Drake. Producers for this year's Oscars announced that presenters will include John Travolta and Lupita Nyong'o, or as Travolta calls her, the wickedly talented Lucretia Barnabas. A new report shows that during the pandemic, meth users met online to use the drug together, mostly on the popular meth user app, Tooth Grinder. A number of sports bars around the country are promising to only show women's basketball games during March Madness. The bars are known collectively as the empty ones. Senator Mitch McConnell, seen here watching the Oscars in memoriam package, reportedly said that his no vote on Ketanji Brown Jackson's Supreme Court nomination was not based on race or gender, but on Ketanji's refusal to answer his question, "Can I touch your hair?"
The House voted to award the Congressional Gold Medal to the only all-female black unit to serve in World War II. And Tyler Perry plays them all in his new film, Inglourious Basterds.
Did you guys all forget?
In some great economic news for President Biden, U.S. oil production hit an all-time high this week, and the economy added a surprisingly robust 350,000 jobs. Or, as Fox News reported it, are migrants turning your kids trans? Well, guys, the election is exactly 30 days away. Just think, in only 30 days, this whole nightmare will be nowhere close to over.
Netflix announced that in July, it will live stream a fight between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. But the real fight will be Mike Tyson trying to pronounce Netflix.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Welcome to Weekend Update. I'm Michael Che.
I'm Colin Jost. Well, great news for conservatives. New York is finally cracking down on crime. Former President Donald Trump was indicted for his role in paying hush money to porn star Stormy Daniels, and the trial will be like a Stormy Daniels movie because I'm deeply ashamed at how excited I am to watch it.
On Monday, Donald Trump testified under oath in his civil fraud trial, though technically he was never sworn in because the Bibles kept bursting into flames.
Former president and current courtroom sketch model Donald Trump testified on the stand for the first time in over 10 years. And it's fun that nobody is 100% sure which trial this sketch is from.
Trump is reportedly being charged with 34 counts of business fraud. Business fraud is also what they call the Trump costume at Spirit Halloween. President Biden on Friday told reporters that he had no comment on Trump's indictment, and then he danced away like the Six Flags guy.
Biden also took time in his speech to say that shrinkflation is affecting Snickers bars and that people pay the same amount for 10% fewer Snickers. And I got to give him credit because it's pretty risky for a white guy with a stutter to keep saying the word Snickers.
In an interview, Senator Mitt Romney said that he will not vote for Donald Trump over Joe Biden. Now, some of you may remember Mitt Romney.
After a judge issued a gag order against President Trump, Trump told reporters that the judge said, basically, I don't have the right to speak. Then he added, she's like literally killing me. Then he yelled, you're not even my real mom, and slammed his bedroom door.
Donald Trump said the results of the 2020 election should be overturned and called for the termination of the Constitution. Trump plans to terminate the Constitution by asking Herschel Walker to drive it to the clinic.
A new report from the White House claims that President Biden's billions of dollars of student loan relief will disproportionately help Latinos, which has earned Biden the nickname El Papa de Sugar. I think in general that people might be overreacting to this indictment. Like an actual headline on CNN yesterday was, nothing in American history approaches the tumult of the charging and possible trial and conviction of a former president. A more accurate headline would be, man we all knew was criminal may be criminal. At this point, it feels like even pro-Trump people have moved on. I mean, I went down to the courthouse today and I was the only protester there.
Insiders said that during his hush money trial, Donald Trump complained that none of his supporters were in court with him. But that's not true. What about all those cops?
Trump's lawyer, Joe Tacopina, a.k.a. Phony Soprano, said he doesn't think Trump is going to get a fair trial in Manhattan, and I agree. I mean, even the courtroom sketch artist seems to hate him. I thought Trump looked perfectly nice. He had blended his foundation, stapled down his hair, but then he drew him like the mud monster from Scooby-Doo.
A new poll shows that supporters of President Biden and Donald Trump are sharply divided over where they get their news from. People who support Biden are more likely to get their news from newspapers and mainstream media, while Trump supporters get their news from T-shirts.
It happened. And yesterday on Truth Social, Trump posted a courtroom sketch of him sitting next to Jesus. Because if there's one guy whose trial famously ended well, it's Jesus. Former President Donald Trump, seen here definitely not sleeping. He's probably just praying. Former President Trump, for the first time in his trial, wrote a message on a yellow Post-it note and handed it to his lawyer while he was making an argument. The Post-it read simply, "Can't pay you."
President Biden signed a measure that would force railway workers to accept a deal that averts a strike but does not include paid sick leave. Why do you expect Biden to care about sick leave when he shows up to work every day with full-blown CTE?
Donald Trump urged his supporters to brave the sub-zero temperatures in Iowa to vote for him, saying, even if you vote and then pass away, it's worth it. Voting for Trump and then passing away is also what happened with COVID.
Newly released video of a deposition to New York's Attorney General's office shows former President Trump taking the fifth hundreds of times. Also taking the fifth, his lawyer.
This week, Donald Trump Jr. testified in his father's civil fraud trial. And based on this courtroom sketch, I feel like it didn't go great. He's supposed to be talking about real estate, but he looks like he's on Law and Order saying, "That girl came on to me." And unlike the other packed courtroom days, only 4 people showed up, and Donald Trump Sr. was not present, which is just like all of Don Jr.'s childhood birthday parties.
Donald Trump said that at the debates, he wants both of them to stand instead of sit. So that's the status of our presidency. Standing is a feat of strength. I think we can learn a lot more watching them both try to get out of a beanbag chair.
After Trump was photographed with some strange red marks on his hand, some dermatologists speculated it could be something called hand herpes. What the hell is hand herpes? Said Tim Scott.
Michael Cohen testified that Trump would look at the total value of his assets and say, "I'm actually not worth $4.5 billion. I'm really worth more like 6. 4.5 is basically 6 is also what he tells Melania."
Michael Cohen, whose cologne I can smell through this picture, testified against Donald Trump this week. Cohen was portrayed by Trump's attorneys as someone who hated Donald Trump and was trying to get revenge. But the only evidence of that comes from Cohen's upcoming book, "I Hate Donald Trump, but I'm Trying to Get Revenge."
McConnell officially endorsed Donald Trump for president because despite their differences, they actually go way back. Donald Trump endorsed Mark Robinson for North Carolina governor, calling Robinson Martin Luther King on steroids. Not to be confused with Martin Luther King on Ozempic. All right, you go again, Colin. I don't know. I don't have it today.
I'm glad you told it. Senator Mitch McConnell, seen here watching someone get injured at the Special Olympics, said that he is not concerned with threats Donald Trump makes at his rallies to remove him as Senate Minority Leader. In fact, McConnell says the threats make him laugh harder than his favorite comedy show, Dahmer. Mitch McConnell, seen here watching the bank foreclose on a single mother, says that he has completely recovered after 2 incidents where he appeared to freeze up and become unresponsive. But suspiciously, he made the comments while being held up by 2 guys in beachwear. Senator Mitch McConnell, seen here being told a black woman made a country album, has come out in favor of a bill that would potentially ban TikTok in the U.S. Of course, for McConnell, TikTok is just what the Grim Reaper says while tapping his watch. Former president and current reverse mortgage applicant Donald Trump criticized Biden's speech, saying the words are not flowing smoothly out of his mouth. Well, we can't all speak with the same effortless grace as Donald J. Trump.
Just recently heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat.
It sounds like someone just inserted a colonoscopy camera.
The FAA revealed that Donald Trump's Boeing 757 clipped a parked plane when it landed in Florida. But the good news is Donald Trump flies around in a Boeing, so...
Senator Rick Scott, seen here learning that Harry Potter has fallen into his trap, announced that he is running for re-election, promising to finish the border wall and name it after Donald Trump, even though most things named after Donald Trump are complete failures.
That was my best joke, Colin.
Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene said next week she will force a vote to oust House Speaker Mike Johnson. And if there's one thing I bet she's amazing at, it's driving men away. Thousands of what are being called penis fish have washed up on the shore of a California beach. Not only that, one kid says he even found one in his mother's nightstand. A man in Kansas was arrested after he was caught having sex with the tailpipe of a car. The sex was described as exhausting. A new study shows that Beaumont, Texas is the least educated city in the country. Oh man, wait until they don't read about this. In the latest episode of Gwyneth Paltrow's new Netflix show Sex, Love, and Goop, a sexologist explained how people can experience full-body orgasms while fully clothed without touching, which is also what happens when your mom watches Bridgerton.
Insiders are also saying that during meetings, President Biden repeatedly uses the F word in conversations. More concerning, the F word he keeps using is forget.
A man in Oregon who had collapsed in his house was saved after his local Domino's Pizza became concerned he hadn't called in his regular order and sent a driver to check on him. It's all part of Domino's new slogan, "You die when we say you die."
Trump advisor Stephen Miller also wants to hold migrants seeking asylum in tent cities. Fun fact, tent city is also what Stephen Miller gets anytime a girl talks to him.
Police in Canada will soon start making people caught drinking and driving listen to Nickelback. So let that be a lesson to all you drunk drivers out there. Make sure the crash kills you. It was announced that Creed singer Scott Stapp will play Frank Sinatra in an upcoming movie. But the good news is Sammy Davis Jr. will be played by Scarlett Johansson.
The weekend update on Michael Che.
I'm calling Joe. Good night.
Residents on Staten Island are upset with the local man who keeps a pet horse in his yard, saying the animal smells and attracts flies. But you know what else smells and attracts flies? Staten Island. Officials at JFK Airport say that a suitcase containing more than 100 pounds of cocaine was left unclaimed at the luggage carousel. For reference, here's what 100 pounds of cocaine looks like.
Lawyers for R. Kelly, who's being held without bail, are complaining that the singer is only allowed to visit with one of his girlfriends at a time. Worse, visiting hours conflict with the schedule of their middle school.
And in this week's presidential porno recap, Trump's personal lawyer, Michael Cohen, who's definitely a candidate for Friend of the Year, said that he used funds from his own home equity line to pay $130,000 to silence Stormy Daniels. Can anyone in America imagine taking out a home equity loan to help their friend pay off a porn star? The best part is, you know that right after Cohen settled up with Stormy, Trump saw another porn star and was like, she's pretty cute too. And Cohen's like, dude, I'm going to lose my house.
Police in Florida arrested a man in a local Target for masturbating with an Olaf doll. Worse, he let it go. UFO enthusiasts have declared that Hillary Clinton is the first ET candidate after she pledged to release government files on UFOs and Area 51. Unfortunately, the aliens keep all their files on a private email server. Joe Biden is now the frontrunner and just picked up an endorsement from Michigan's governor only days before the state's primary. And it makes sense that Michigan would love Biden because it kind of looks like a hand trying to touch a lady's hair. Space Agency said that the landing of a spacecraft on a comet this week was rougher than they initially thought, with the probe bouncing twice before landing. Only twice? Said Spirit Airlines.
Experts say that by 2026, Disney Plus will surpass Netflix to become the top streaming platform in the world. Not so fast, said Pornhub.
DC Comics announced that the new Superman will be bisexual. Yes, they also announced that the Riddler has always been down for whatever.
By the way, can the media please stop getting us all riled up with headlines like, will porn star bring down president? Is Mueller moving in for the kill? Just stop teasing us if there's no payoff. I'll tell the media the same thing I told my high school girlfriend. I'm totally fine waiting, but then you gotta stop rubbing the outside of my pants.
And I get that it's hard to pronounce a lot of these names, but that's what makes award shows so fun. I mean, just imagine John Travolta as he introduces the wickedly talented DeVito Olajuwon.
Amazon announced that their new Lord of the Rings TV series will be called Rings of Power, though I'm personally more excited for the spin-off Gollum in Paris.
Kevin Spacey, hold for applause, Kevin Spacey made his first public speaking appearance in 5 years where he thanked Italy's National Cinema Museum for having the balls to invite him. He also asked, could I touch the balls? I'm kidding. He didn't ask permission. Some owners of McDonald's franchises are reportedly concerned about a campaign partnership with Cardi B, especially the ad where they claim their burgers have a wet-ass patty.
Oh.
The National Brotherhood of Skiers is pushing for greater representation of black people in winter sports, which are predominantly white. Huh, so it seems like someone's a little jealous that we took their precious dunk contest. During a White House ceremony, President Biden wished Kamala Harris a happy birthday, then accidentally called her a great president. Even worse, he was talking to a portrait of Michelle Obama. Tennis star Andy Murray was upset after an umpire at the Australian Open refused to let him take a bathroom break during a 5-set long match. Worse, it was deuce. It was reported that the James Bond books are being rewritten to remove offensive material. So the character Pussy Galore will now be called Cooter Aplenty. The U.S. Surgeon General is warning that children are joining social media at too young an age, and they should wait until they're at least 16, when they're hotter. Elon Musk took over Twitter. Use of the N-word on the site has reportedly jumped 500%. It's the biggest increase in the use of the N-word since the last time I stubbed my toe. As this year's award season gets underway, there's growing movement to get rid of the gendered categories of Best Actor and Best Actress and instead call them Best Actor and Best Actor who got paid less. Chipotle has announced plans to hire 15,000 people to prepare for its busiest time of year, which they are calling burrito season. And toilets are calling the apocalypse. The U.S. Department of the Interior has changed the name of Squaw Valley, California, because it is considered a derogatory term for Native American women. Okay, I don't understand how that name gets changed, and yet no one cares there's an entire town in New York that mocks my people. Biologists in Florida are warning that the Jesus Christ lizard, named for its ability to run on water, could spread harmful diseases to humans. They hope to control the population by introducing a Pontius Pilate lizard.
That's sweet.
The Biden classified document scandal and the Trump classified document scandal are very different, but they do share one big thing in common. They both make Hillary Clinton want to blow our goddamn brains out. It would have been so funny if they searched Biden's garage and he had Hillary's server. For the first time ever, two brothers will be facing off against each other in the Super Bowl. Incidentally, two brothers in the Super Bowl is why my grandfather won't be watching.
On February, man, wow.
A school official in Illinois has been arrested on charges of stealing over $1 million worth of chicken wings. Said the official, "I swear, I was going to give all the money back."
No, don't.
Earlier today, an American fighter jet shot down a suspected Chinese surveillance balloon that had been spotted crossing the United States, officially ending history's most complicated gender reveal party. And bad news for China, it's a girl. Due to a computer error, a school in Massachusetts has been unable to turn off its lights for over a year and a half. The students are doing fine, but the classroom hamster has gone insane. Disney World is closing Splash Mountain to turn it into Tiana's Bayou Adventure after complaints that its Song of the South theme was racist. Okay, but where's the outrage about Disney forcing a mentally challenged dwarf to mine blood diamonds? Senator Rick Scott, seen here learning that Harry Potter has fallen into his trap, announced that he is running for re-election, promising to finish the border wall and name it after Donald Trump, even though most things named after Donald Trump are complete failures. Police officials in Colorado say that a bear discovered a wildlife camera in the woods and posed for more than 400 selfies. 400 selfies of a bear is also known as a Grindr profile. Google announced that it is cutting 12,000 jobs, while Yahoo announced that it is now run by a family of raccoons. Florida has proposed legislation that would allow residents to carry firearms without a permit. Also, everyone gets to do one murder. It was also reported that George Santos lied to potential campaign donors that he was a producer of the Broadway musical Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark, though he did end up working with the Green Goblin. Some parents in Oregon are having large groups of their children ride their bikes to school at the same time in a formation they're calling a bike bus, and pedophiles are calling a buffet. An Arizona woman was arrested after she allegedly went day drinking while her 5-month-old child was sitting home alone, like a loser. Researchers say the number of gray whales off western North America has continued to decline for several years. It's a sad fact that makes me wonder if whale oil is really the best way to give my hair this amazing volume. British officials have unveiled King Charles III's new royal monogram. The C stands for Charles, the R is for Rex, and the 3 is for how many hundreds of yards Prince Andrew has to stay away from schools. The house where Lizzie Borden murdered her parents has been sold for $2 million and will be turned into a bed and breakfast. Though a bed and breakfast where a murder happened is pretty much just a day's in. The White House has introduced a new plan to put nutrition labels on the front instead of the back. So to give you an idea of the overall health of Americans, we're too lazy to do this. A woman in Taiwan who thought her boyfriend was cheating cut off his penis and flushed it down the toilet. I'm sorry, thought he was cheating? A professional golfer in Florida was arrested after he tried to meet a 15-year-old girl he met online who turned out to be a detective. Said the golfer, "Mulligan?"
Come on, man.
Sadly, there's more. For those of you wondering, in golf terms, a 15-year-old is 3 under par. A new study says that the combined mass of every ant on Earth is greater than the mass of every mammal and bird combined, thanks mostly to this juicy bitch. Researchers have discovered a piece of 20-million-year-old petrified wood on the Greek island of Lesbos. They knew it was from Lesbos because it's double-ended.
Oh, man.
Border officials have discovered $400,000 worth of meth hidden inside pumpkins. They could tell the pumpkins were full of meth because they only had like 3 teeth left. Good evening, everyone.
Welcome to Weekend Update. I'm Michael Che.
I'm Colin Jost. Well, it's the first show of spring, so we'll start tonight with puppy murder. In a new book, South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem revealed that she once shot a dog that was untrainable. That's insane. If a dog is untrainable, you don't shoot it, you give it to President Biden.
Donald Trump said at a rally that he would make November 5th Christian Visibility Day. Wait, I thought that was called Ash Wednesday. The Florida Supreme Court has allowed the state's 6-week abortion ban to take effect. So now Florida's only remaining method for ending a pregnancy is roller coasters.
MAGA insiders are saying that Noem, seen here wearing the hair of that dog, now has 0 chance of being Trump's running mate. But I don't know, something tells me Trump would fully support killing disobedient pets.
This week, Donald Trump said that he supports abortion laws being decided by the states instead of the federal government. But why stop there? Why not go even smaller and leave it up to the counties or the city? Or even better, take the government out of it completely and leave it the choice about what women can do with their bodies to the person who knows what they can do with them the best, their husbands. Insiders said that during his hush money trial, Donald Trump complained that none of his supporters were in court with him. But that's not true. What about all those cops?
It was also reported Friday that the U.S. economy added over 300,000 jobs. Unfortunately, most of them are bridge fixer.
Experts are saying that 2 different broods of cicadas will hatch this month, releasing trillions of cicadas into the U.S. And Biden is just letting them in.
Former President Donald Trump, seen here definitely not sleeping. He's probably just praying. Former President Trump, for the first time in his trial, wrote a message on a yellow Post-it note and handed it to his lawyer while he was making an argument. The Post-it read simply, "Can't pay you." In a video on Truth Social, Donald Trump falsely said that Democrats support abortion up to the 9th month and beyond, saying the baby is executed after birth. But he only thinks that happens because when Trump was a baby, a bunch of time travelers showed up trying to kill him.
Officials at Columbia University complained that protesters broke windows and destroyed school property. But so what? College kids also do that when they win the Final Four. Also, you're a university. If you really don't want students to freak out, stop telling them the truth. That's my advice for school and relationships. A new study finds that the top reason more teenage boys are virgins is that they haven't found the right person yet, which suggests a critical nationwide shortage on skanks.
First Lady Jill Biden also unveiled a new ice rink near the White House, setting the stage for next week's headline, President Shatters Pelvis on Ice Rink.
President Biden said that the National Guard should not be called in to deal with campus protests, but I'm just happy that he's finally not sending military aid somewhere.
Republicans have introduced a bill to rename Washington, D.C.'s Dulles Airport after Donald Trump. Because airports are a lot like Trump, a chaotic nightmare that turns you against your own family.
O.J. Simpson died this week at the age of 76 after a battle with prostate cancer that was planted on him by the LAPD. That was my best joke, Colin.
Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene said next week she will force a vote to oust House Speaker Mike Johnson. And if there's one thing I bet she's amazing at, it's driving men away.
It was reported that the man who married a conjoined twin is facing a paternity lawsuit from his ex-wife. Great. The last thing that guy needs is another mouth to feed. Yesterday, President Biden released a new video with Barack Obama in which they remind people that Obamacare is still available, but according to polls, people really want to know if Obama is still available. During a campaign event marking the start of Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, President Biden criticized Japan as being xenophobic, which is crazy because why would the Japanese be scared of foreigners? Oh my God, Drake just dropped another diss record, guys!
In the South, we'll have to travel more than 300 miles for the procedure. On the plus side, you can get free travel to New York by disguising yourself as a migrant. A fist fight almost broke out at a congressional hearing after Senator Markwayne Mullin challenged the president of the Teamsters Union to a fist fight. You challenge the president of the Teamsters to a fight? Do you have a death wish? The two things I learned growing up in New York were never mess with the Teamsters and don't drink that Snapple you found on the subway.
A new poll shows that supporters of President Biden and Donald Trump are sharply divided over where they get their news from. People who support Biden are more likely to get their news from newspapers and mainstream media, while Trump supporters get their news.
At the end of the year 2060, 1 out of every 4 Americans will be Latino. That's how good Bad Bunny's music is. Donald Trump also told supporters that if he's elected, he will focus on anti-white racism. Thank God. My people have suffered long enough. I will gladly become a modern-day Nelson Mandela. Unfortunately for Halloween.
I knew it was going to come out of you someday. Today was the 150th running of the Kentucky Derby, also known among horses as Squid Game.
There was actually an error in the LA Times obituary for O.J. Simpson. In the section about his prison time, instead of writing O.J. walked out of the Lovelock Correctional Center, they wrote Trump walked out of the Lovelock Correctional Center, a free man for the first time in 9 years. And it's not a great sign for Trump that even autocorrect thinks he belongs in jail.
It was announced that both Boomer Esiason and Phil Simms are leaving CBS's The NFL Today. The former quarterback said they want to spend more time figuring out which one is which. A new report shows that the gender death gap is rising, with men dying an average of 6 years before women, which is, It's actually scientific proof that men are actually dying a little every time we have to listen to your boring-ass stories.
Fans of the children's show Bluey are saying that a line in a recent episode hinted that Bluey's mom used to go to a park to smoke marijuana. Meanwhile, over a cocoa melon, every baby's on acid. Just hours ago, the Kentucky Derby was won in a photo finish by Mystic Dan. Mystic Dan is also the guy who sells acid to cocoa melon.
President Biden met with Japan's prime minister where they discussed building a new bullet train system in America using advanced Japanese technology. In return, Japan requested the advanced American technology of forks.
A new study finds that your risk of developing diabetes depends on how fast you walk and whether this sound plays while you're walking.
It was reported that Sylvester Stallone is writing a memoir. The memoir is 300 pages long and has a word count of 1. Hey, you and me, that's good acting, right, Colin? You like that? I've been working on it. All really good acting. New Jersey police recaptured an escaped pig named Albert Einstein. They call him Albert Einstein because compared to people in New Jersey, pigs are geniuses. Oh, man.
Wow.
New York City officials are considering controlling the city's growing rat population by using birth control pellets, which will also finally let female rats focus on their careers.
An elementary school teacher in Wisconsin was arrested after she allegedly made out with one of her 5th grade students just months before her wedding, which is why you should never have your bachelorette party at Chuck E. Cheese.
Scientists in Portugal have accidentally created a mouse embryo that has an extra leg where its genitals should be. And brother, same. Scientists in New Guinea have rediscovered a long-lost mammal called a monotreme, which has the quills of a hedgehog, the snout of an anteater, the feet of a mole, and the ass of an angel. I'm just reading it, man. Nearly 100,000 pounds of sliced prosciutto is being recalled for not being inspected properly, which is weird because I thought prosciutto inspector was just an Italian slur for gay. Prosciutto inspector? All right.
And
this is a really rough episode for me, Carl.
Doritos has created new software called Doritos Silent, which removes the sound of eating from video calls. Not to be outdone, Taco Bell is working on new software that removes the sound of screaming from bathrooms.
This week, sky gazers were treated to the beaver moon, which is only visible for a few seconds when the moon gets out of the shower.
An 11-day cruise is being offered next year from Miami to the Caribbean, in which passengers will be nude. The cruise will offer pickleball, cornhole, and also games. A new report chronicles a disorder called sexsomnia, in which people try to have sex while they're asleep. The report was written by someone named Phil Fosby. The TSA reports that in the first 3 months of this year, they've intercepted 1,500 guns in carry-on bags, and the majority of them were loaded. Because you're giving me that window seat. It was reported that the James Bond books are being rewritten to remove offensive material. So the character Pussy Galore will now be called Cooter Aplenty.
May is National Masturbation Month, so stop knocking on my dressing room door.
Gen
Gen Z icon Kyle Rittenhouse is petitioning the court for the return of his rifle so he can destroy it. I don't know. Careful, Kyle. Trying to get your memorabilia back is how they finally got OJ.
The head of Chicago's police union is urging officers to defy the city's vaccine mandate, which is weird because usually Chicago police can't wait to take the shot. Walmart. Police in Ohio say that a report of a homeless man sleeping on a bench turned out to be a statue, which was a huge relief because they shot it 15 times. Pebbles, who was the world's oldest living dog, has died at the age of 22. But it's okay. His owners knew this was coming if they didn't keep him off my yard.
A new poll shows that 75% of LGBTQ voters support Joe Biden, but 0% of them support Joe Biden guessing what the B, T, and Q stand for.
The Kremlin celebrated the illegal annexation of Ukraine with a night of entertainment in Red Square. Say what you will, but a gig's a gig.
Startup airline Boom Supersonic is hoping to eventually fly passengers anywhere in the world in 4 hours or less for just $100. So get ready to fly fast and cheap on the only airline named after the sound of an explosion. This is fun. A Canadian woman was fined more than $25,000 for illegally importing bull semen. Meanwhile, in the U.S., bull semen is sold legally under the name White Claw.
Doctors in China removed more than 120 magnetic beads swallowed by a 5-year-old boy. Wow. Wait till his boss at the factory hears about this.
The CDC is warning about a salmonella outbreak that's linked to bird feeders. Yet another piece of bad news for people who eat out of bird feeders.
A conductor of a bullet train is facing disciplinary action after he left the controls to use the bathroom while the train was traveling at nearly 100 miles an hour. But brother, that chili was traveling at that same speed.
New Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni has been accused of spreading white supremacist ideas, which is crazy. We're now counting Italians as white? Sizzler restaurants have announced that as a result of the impact from COVID, they are filing for bankruptcy, which is probably a good idea since the Sizzler buffet is the closest thing America has to a Wuhan wet market.
The population of Los Angeles has fallen for the 3rd straight year. Well, it's like Colin always says, LA is just not the same without Harvey. You always say it, man.
Cool. Thanks, man. That's cool. Researchers say that a system on the International Space Station that turns astronaut urine into drinking water could be used to provide clean water on Earth, which is the kind of amazing innovation that makes me think, wait, then what are astronaut brownies made of? The chief, well, you're not going to like this. The chief of the Cherokee Nation is calling on car maker Jeep to stop using the tribe's name on its vehicles. So Jeep has agreed to change the name to, wow, the Aunt Jemima Mobile.
Singer R. Kelly was found guilty of racketeering and sex trafficking this week, but won't be sentenced until next May, after R. Kelly's lawyers successfully negotiated one more school year. A new study finds that frogs in the rainforest have a higher pitch call than urban frogs. The study also finds that female frogs be shopping. I stand by that joke. The San Francisco panel studying reparations is proposing giving every black resident a one-time payment of $5 million. Well, that's a fantastic idea, said the Gucci store.
The location of Sex Island, which is a 4-day drug-fueled event featuring prostitutes and an exclusive resort,
has been revealed to be an island off the coast of Trinidad and Tobago. This according to the plane ticket I saw in Shay's hand.
See you there. Video was posted of a police officer in San Francisco pulling over a driverless car, then the car driving away after the officer saw no one was behind the wheel. Even more amazing, he still managed to shoot an unarmed black guy. The Senate passed the Respect for Marriage Act, which solidifies federal protections for interracial marriages. Okay, but if I marry a white lady, who's going to protect me from my mother?
Due to a computer error, a school in Massachusetts has been unable to turn off its lights for over a year and a half. The students are doing fine, but the classroom hamster has gone insane.
CDC is warning people to not eat raw cookie dough because it may contain germs that can cause severe diarrhea. But on the bright side, you can eat cookie dough without ever gaining weight. In and out.
It was reported that the Boy Scouts of America are considering filing for bankruptcy in the face of declining membership. Yeah, apparently there's some problem with their business model of hoping parents will pay adult strangers to take their children deep into the woods. It was announced that the Broadway musical Avenue Q about raunchy puppets will close in the spring after 15 years. But if you still want to go see raunchy puppets, just head to Times Square and watch Elmo kicking pigeon.
The inflation rate in the U.S. reached 8.5% in March. To cover the higher prices, millions of families have been forced to take out a second OnlyFans account.
Google Earth has released a new feature that allows people to see a time lapse of how their neighborhood has changed over the last 40 years. Don't remind me, said my grandpa.
Firefighters in Texas saved more than 100 snakes, including pythons and boa constrictors from a burning home. Said the homeowner, "Cool, so where's my wife?"
The World Health Organization is changing the name of monkeypox to mpox due to concerns that the original could be considered racist, which I didn't even really think was an issue, but now I'm just wondering, what's the N in N95? A zoo in Atlanta will allow visitors to carry firearms. So you want to try laughing at me again, monkeys?
What happened to you, man? After this year's election, a record-setting 12 states will have female governors, while the other 38 states will have dinner ready on time. Merriam-Webster announced that its word of the year is gaslighting. Gaslighting, if you don't know, is a word my ex made up to magically win arguments that she was losing. Tensions are on the rise after North Korea launched more than 20 missiles into the ocean, and all because the Little Mermaid is black. It's not real.
Tomorrow is the New York City Marathon, or as Fox News will report it, undocumented Africans run wild in streets of New York. Oh, God. Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari, for the first time, denied months-old rumors that he had died and been replaced by a lookalike from Sudan. See, even Africans can't tell black people apart.
A new study shows that the average American touches their mobile device more than 2,000 times a day. Only 2,000 times, said my penis.
A church in Massachusetts has created a nativity scene that comments on the immigration debate by placing the baby Jesus in a cage, where he belongs.
Hurricane Florence was the wettest in history. The previous record for wetness was set on the opening night of Magic Mike.
Kevin Spacey, hold for applause. Kevin Spacey made his first public speaking appearance in 5 years, where he thanked Italy's National Cinema Museum for having the balls to invite him. He also asked, "Could I touch the balls?" I'm kidding. He didn't ask permission.
It was reported that last year the population of China declined by 850,000 people, thanks to an increase in China's leading cause of death, protesting. China plans to reverse the population decline with an emergency import of Nick Cannon.
A substitute teacher in North Carolina has resigned after she reportedly told a class of elementary students that Martin Luther King Jr. killed himself. In her defense, he is the one who decided to keep running his mouth. Why? Tennis star Andy Murray was upset after an umpire at the Australian Open refused to let him take a bathroom break during a 5-set long match. Worse, it was deuce.
A Catholic nun in France, who was believed to be the oldest person in the world, has died at the age of 118. Her cause of death was listed as answered prayer.
The U.S. Department of the Interior has changed the name of Squaw Valley, California, because it is considered a derogatory term for Native American women. Okay, I don't understand how that name gets changed, and yet no one cares there's an entire town in New York that mocks my people. At a rally in a Pennsylvania high school, Elon Musk promoted the debunked theory that Dominion voting systems rigged the 2020 election, saying, quote, "The last thing I would do is trust a computer program." You know, like the ones driving all of his cars.
Yesterday, the devil went down to Georgia. No, I'm kidding. Donald Trump traveled to Georgia to survey the damage from Hurricane Helene, which is bold because nothing scares Trump more than high winds.
Michigan State apologized after an image of Adolf Hitler appeared on a stadium video board at a football game. Even more upsetting, it was during the kiss cam. Speaking of, Melania Trump gave a rare TV interview this week in which she blamed Democrats for creating conditions that led to Trump's assassination attempts, which is ridiculous. When Democrats want to take out a presidential candidate, they get the job done. President Biden also said that he hopes that the death of the leader of Hamas will be a path to peace in Gaza. Path to Peace is also the name of the home Biden's moving into in about 3 months.
A new poll shows that 47% of voters see Kamala Harris representing change better than Donald Trump. How about now, said Trump with bangs. Next week, Donald Trump will participate in a Fox News town hall before an all-female audience. Well, good luck trying to talk over all those rape whistles.
President Biden made a surprise appearance at a White House press briefing on Friday, and it's not a great sign when you're at the White House and people are like, "Whoa, what's the president doing here?" In honor of Jimmy Carter's 100th birthday, more than 4,000 children around the country sent him hand-drawn cards bearing messages like, "Who are you?" and "My mom made me do this."
The Biden administration has proposed banning the use of Chinese-made car software, which is almost as dangerous as Chinese-made drivers. It's the 90s, man. We were back.
Donald Trump confirmed that he would not agree to a second debate with Kamala Harris, which is fine with me. If I wanted to watch an old man yell at a Jamaican lady, I'd visit my grandpa at the nursing home.
It was reported that Donald Trump has refused to release his medical records, and I bet I know what he's hiding, but I'm not allowed dementia it.
Donald Trump said this week that Americans will travel to Mars in his next term, probably to get an abortion. Fans of the Peanuts comic strip were upset after a fan account endorsed Donald Trump. Even worse, they claimed that Franklin was trying to eat Snoopy.
Melania Trump made a rare public appearance when she attended the funeral of former First Lady Rosalind Carter, who died at the age of 96. Melania said that she was deeply saddened to be reminded that your partner can live that long.
The Alabama Supreme Court ruled that embryos created through IVF are children, and that black embryos can be tried as adults.
Colin.
It's crazy that they're saying that embryos are the same as children. If you think an embryo is the same as a baby, try telling your wife, "Hey, honey, I left our baby in the freezer."
That guy gets me.
At an all-female Fox News town hall, Trump declared himself the father of IVF, which stands for Ivanka and various freaks. Even Donald Trump thinks this decision goes too far. He came out strongly in favor of IVF, saying this:
I strongly support the availability of IVF for couples who are trying to have a precious little beautiful baby.
Mississippi Republican Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith blocked a bill that would protect access to in vitro fertilization because, as they say in Mississippi, if you're having trouble conceiving, just try with a different cousin. After Nikki Haley's poor showing in Michigan, pressure is mounting for her to drop out of the race, but mostly because the dishes are piling up at home.
Trump also appeared on Fox and Friends and said that Abraham Lincoln was probably a great president, but wanted to know why the Civil War wasn't settled. Well, it was settled until you showed up.
One of the founders of the Black Lives Matter movement announced that he is supporting Donald Trump for president, and I'm going to assume he announced it during a traffic stop.
After a judge issued a gag order against President Trump, Trump told reporters that the judge said, basically, I don't have the right to speak. Then he added, she's like literally killing me. Then he yelled, you're not even my real mom, and slammed his bedroom door.
A new poll shows that supporters of President Biden and Donald Trump are sharply divided over where they get their news from. People who support Biden are more likely to get their news from newspapers and mainstream media, while Trump supporters get their news from T-shirts.
Experts have noted that Donald Trump has struggled to present a softened stance on abortion. In fact, this is the best he's come up with.
Oh, man.
Okay.
I like the comment.
We're really finding the line.
Insiders say that during a campaign stop in Pennsylvania tomorrow, Donald Trump will work the fry cooker at a McDonald's where he plans to deep fry the tip of his tie. Kamala Harris responded to Trump calling January 6th a day of love, saying that he is gaslighting us. But Kamala, you're just imagining things, baby. That's called gaslighting, Colin.
Yeah, that seemed very real.
I'm a good actor.
Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders criticized Kamala Harris and said that because Kamala doesn't have children, she doesn't have anything keeping her humble. Yeah, because Trump having 5 kids has kept him so humble. Harris responded by saying that it's tough to be a stepmom, which is true, because you have to be a parent and turn them against their real mom.
An attorney for Diddy said that his client wants to testify at his trial, saying, "I don't know that I can keep him off the stand," because you can't hold a guy back wearing all that baby oil. It's the 90s.
It was reported that Diddy once invited Prince Harry and Prince William to one of his parties, but they did not go. Although before Diddy could even finish writing the invite, Prince Andrew was there.
New report shows that inflation has dropped to its lowest level in almost 4 years. Man, I just wish Joe Biden was still around to see this. Oh, he is? I didn't know.
Sean Combs, his defense attorney, also argued that his client is not like R. Kelly. First of all, never a great sign when the first person you compare your client to is R. Kelly. But I have to agree, it's true. Diddy is nothing like R. Kelly. I mean, R. Kelly's songs are good.
It was reported that last month the U.S. added 245,000 new jobs. Unfortunately, they were all Diddy accuser. It was announced that Sean P. Diddy Combs' sex trafficking case has been assigned to a new judge, one that Diddy hopes is cool with rapes.